Oh, Ivan Katz here, and behind me, the Citroen CX. I've always loved French cars. They're just so French, so quirky, and I love quirky cars. The engineering, the styling, it's just outrageous. Anyway, I actually bought this thing. So, as an owner, will I be impressed, or will it let me down? Let's find out. Well, certainly the styling is a standout. Doesn't look like any other car out there except for maybe another Citroen. Plus, it can change its look. It's basically dropped or bagged in today's technology. It's on its lowest suspension setting here. Here it's at its normal setting, right in the middle. And here it looks like it's on stilts, riding high. Definitely helpful when traversing rough terrain. And really cool looking too. Aside from the fun suspension, it's really cool to look at to me. I love the station wagon shape. I just love station wagons. You know, I have a Lotus Europa, which is sort of a shooting brake. I just love that look. And I also love the utility of it. I think station wagon shouldn't be a bad word in the automotive world anyway. To me, it's just a cool shape, and it cheats the wind too. The covered wheel well reminds me of our 1970 turquoise Cadillac convertible that I grew up with. In fact, the name Citroen CX is actually the French way of saying drag coefficient. So it's all about cheating the wind and getting a very slippery shape. And to me, it's not just slippery, but it looks super cool too. The interior is just as avant-garde as the exterior. Of course, it looks a bit dated now, but at the time, it was very futuristic, and parts of it still look futuristic today. Note the steering wheel. It was actually designed so that you can operate things like the turn signals and the lights, all without really having to reach too far from the steering wheel, keeping your hands on the steering wheel at all times. Everything is right there for you, all the controls, all the lights, everything you need for the total driving experience. So, quirky maybe, but also ahead of its time in many ways, and again, super stylistic and super cool. The armrest is actually kind of just there, no padding on it right now, but you can flick it back, and underneath there's a bit of storage, controls for the rear windows, other controls as well, a handbrake, that's right, a real handbrake. Strange place for the radio, but it is period correct at least. Moving forward, you have the 5-speed shifter, that's right, it's a manual transmission car, very cool. Cigarette lighter here, and here's a control for the suspension. You move it left for high, right for the lowest setting, and right where it is now is the middle setting. There is of course an ashtray, so you can smoke like a chimney, and a no expense spared fan that was actually put in by one of the previous owners that's been here for a while, and to me it's just too kitschy cool to dispense with. And it works perfectly too. Here you have the ventilation controls. You can open and close all the vents, including ones over here in the corner. That's kind of nice. This one is for fan speed here, and then temperature over here, which is in Celsius actually. And then down here, things like the defrost and recirculate. And then this is kind of interesting. You can actually override the fan and turn the fan on to cool the engine just with a switch. That's pretty cool. A high and low setting. Nice. The gauge layout is very straightforward, nothing to block it either, which is very cool. This would be where your warning lights are. Fortunately, there's none on in this one. Speedometer in kilometers, tachometer as well, fuel gauge, and a temperature gauge. The key is on the left side of the steering wheel, kind of cool, a la Porsche 911 sort of. Excellent. And then over here, kind of a tray down here for perhaps storage. Neat. There's a little more storage over here in the door, and then controls for your windows and outside mirrors too. The other side has a storage tray in the middle of it. Interesting. There's a tray on the other side here for storage. That's kind of neat, just above the glove box. There's a temperature gauge up here in the middle of the dash, and then you have an outdoor temperature as well, and the time too. And notice, they work. There was an elegant version of this car, and this one is it. And it's funny because the padding in the seats almost feels like a 70s cheese bus in a way. It's just soft and padded, and it's just like all the more comfortable for the suspension. to make the ride just really like you're on a magic carpet or a pillow as you drive around. So that's very cool. And like I said, the styling is maybe a hair bit dated, but still I think it looks quite nice, especially for its day. This is a 1987 Citroen CX, and so it's a second series, but very cool design, innovative and forward thinking too. Outside, of course, and inside too. Out and back you get seating for 3 across. Very cushy seating, I might add. And of course, in following the design expertise, you can fold this seat forward, which kind of opens up some hidden storage underneath. Move the bottom forward and then collapse it, and look, that's right, you've got a flat storing area for more cargo. Just look at the attention to detail. You can actually pull this up, and then there you can protect the back of the front seat. Very cool. Très intelligent. So go ahead and pop open the trunk and just look at that. I mean, it is cavernous. Some of these were made into limousines, and then this one is, of course, the touring version, the estate wagon. They call it a safari also, and also a brake. But just look at that storage. Man, it's incredible. A useful classic. The best of all worlds to me. Power comes from a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine. It makes 138 horsepower, 0 to 60 in about 11 seconds. Certainly not a fast car. It's all about cruising. And if you're cruising on the highway, thanks to the slippery shape, you get about 30 miles per gallon, which is impressive for a car from this era. You get 2 horns. You also get a hydraulic tank over here, and that's where everything happens. You basically have to add this green fluid, and make sure it's only the green fluid, because that's what this system takes. If you see one with a different fluid, that's a problem. Definitely run away from it. It needs the green fluid. And isn't that great? Not only a spare tire, but a place to keep some extra fluid too. Those French think of everything. So after having driven the Citroen CX for a while now, I can say that it is the perfect car for eating cheese, drinking wine, making love, and smoking. No, but seriously, there's ashtrays everywhere in the car, and that's very French. So what does a very French mean? Well, like this Citroen CX and the Renault 5 Turbo that I've reviewed, you can check out my review of that one elsewhere. It's very French. Like I said, here I am going over some bumpy roads, but you don't really feel the bumps very much because it's that hydropneumatic suspension, and that's a very French thing. Started with the Citroen SM, that made it famous. That one had a Maserati engine, but this one styled by the same guy. It looks similar to the SM and the DS, but it has a shape all its own. Robert Oprom was the designer, and he also designed the Alpine A310, the Renault Fuego, and the cool Alfa Romeo SZ. Now that's sort of almost a wedge square shape, different than this, but still very cool and definitely stands out amongst the crowd. So he's a great designer. But the look is very French, very cool, and it's just got a style all of its own. The steering wheel, like I said, the way everything is designed that you can just touch everything you need to get to, the headlights, the turn signals, anything you need while you're driving, and you don't even need to move your hands but a couple of inches. That's kind of ingenious, ahead of its time, like the suspension. You know, people are doing that in California these days to everything, from trucks to pickups to regular sedans and even station wagons like this one. So it is ahead of its time, and the styling, the look is cool, but really also the mechanicals are very cool. Even the coefficient of drag, the CX, definitely ahead of its time. Very cool. I don't really name my cars like some people do, but if I did, I would name her Delphine, a nom joli française. That's right, a pretty French name, like a pretty French girl named Delphine. And that's very fitting because Opron said, like the dolphin and the leopard, they move at speed that's consistent with their environment, each using a minimum of energy. And that's what Opron designed this Citroen to do. It just slips through the wind. It's a very, very cool shape. that's not only cool looking, but very functional too. So, vive la France. A nice, beautiful road, but Citroen, like I said, it's a cruiser. It's not a sports car. And you just want to sit back and drive it and enjoy the scenery. The perfect place for you and up to 4 other people, or up to 6 other people in the Familia, the family version of this car, which was available in Europe also. So it's a very, very versatile shape and design that was available in many, many different styles and options. You could get it in a 2.5 liter turbo also. There was actually a more sporty version of this one, but you know, 7-seaters. This one, like I said, the Safari Estate version, station wagon basically, brake as they call it, and a lot of these were actually chauffeur driven. It was really an executive's car in France. Of course, there's that famous story where the president of France was being driven in it and there was an assassination attempt. They shot out one of the tires and he was able to get away because with the suspension, you can drive it on 3 wheels. So what's more French than that? It saved the French president's life. What an amazing, amazing car. Now the way you get in and out of it actually is like a shotgun trigger, like this. And there you go, that's how you get in and out. Pretty cool. Now, how impressive is the hydropneumatic suspension? Well, Rolls-Royce actually licensed it from them, so that's pretty impressive. We're going over some bumps right now, but you can't really tell. It does whatever it can to keep the car level. If you put a huge load in the back, well, it's okay, it'll bump it up, keep it flat. Very, very cool. Like I said, a magic carpet ride. And the Familial and also the brake version, this one is 25 centimeters longer than the other versions, and that of course is for more room, longer wheelbase, more utility. So the first series of the Citroen CX came out in 1975 and lasted to 1985. Then the Series 2 cars came along from 85 to 91. The last one that they had actually was this estate brake version, and then they came out with the XM, which is more wedgy and not really as cool as this one, if you ask me. But anyway, Series 1 cars, well, they rust, so they can be a little bit more difficult. And the Series 2 cars were the ones that were imported into America from 2 companies, one down in Georgia and the other one from New Jersey. That's what this one is, a CXA, CX of America. And they imported these cars, the 2.5 liters fuel injected ones, because they were more dependable. They had anti-lock brakes and basically just a lot easier to work with than the diesels. Only about 1,000 of them came to America, and I'm sure this 5-speed wagon is one of the rarest. So it's just really cool to own and very special, especially here in America where there's not many of them. Well, to sort of steal a line from Pink Floyd, the car is just fantastic. That is really what I think. But by the way, why is it pink? Well, there's a story actually. That was from Have a Cigar, Pink Floyd, by the way. But the car is pink actually because I bought it out of Florida, and the guy I bought it from kind of wanted a beach cruiser, and it was gold, kind of a bland color, and so he had it painted pink and white on top, and actually the daughter of the painter actually did that pinstriping on it, so that was kind of cool too. But it really is and was designed to be sort of a beach cruiser, and I like that look. Actually had a matching surfboard that he didn't sell me, unfortunately, but would have looked really cool with that. But anyway, I think pink cars are really cool, and you know, hey, it's a quirky car already, so why not make it stand out all the more? Now, what's it like to drive and live with every day? Well, it's actually pretty easy to own. It starts right up, and in terms of actual driving, the steering is very light. The steering wheel actually self-centers and goes back to the center position. That's also part of the hydropneumatic system, as well as the braking. The braking is kind of 2 buttons. There's a soft and a hard. It's almost like a button. You're not really manipulating the effort so much as you're pressing a button in a couple of modes. One is kind of, okay, let's slow down. The other one is stop and hurry. So the brakes do grab and they do work well, actually. In terms of the shifting, the shifter is a little bit clunky, but as long as you're smooth with the shifter and the clutch, it's actually okay and very easy to drive. A medium clutch effort, I'd say. I saw an early 80s BMW 7 Series 733 eye, I believe, and we kind of gave each other a knowing sort of wave salute, because driving a classic car is really special. You know, you never have to worry about seeing another one on the road, especially with this pink Citroen CX. But anyway, driving a classic car every day on the road is extremely enjoyable because it's just different. The cars certainly stand out. Well, this one does. And, you know, it's a different feeling from a different age. And although the safety standards might not be up to what they were, it's certainly very comfortable in this case, in that BMW 733's case. But really, you're dealing with historic tags in many cases, and you don't have to get them inspected as much as you might a normal car. Also, you don't pay as much in insurance, so that's a great thing too. They're money saving. These cars tended to be lighter than cars of today, so in many ways they're more economical also. And a station wagon like this one, well, you can carry anything or anyone with you, and that's really a great thing too in this classic car. In terms of values, well, you know, parts, crappy cars can be couple thousand bucks. The nicer they are, of course, the more money you pay. Most you're going to spend is probably in the $20,000 range. That's for an excellent one, but there's a lot from $5,000 to $15,000. There's a lot of them that are still available and on the road, and certainly, like I said, it's really, really cool. You'll never see another one on the road, and that to me is what it's all about. I really, really love the driving experience of this car. I love the crazy styling and the very avant-garde electronics as well. It's just the perfect combination of all things. So I am impressed. I'm happy I bought it. I love it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to me on YouTube. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm Drivin Ivan.